Let's see. Can you hear me now? I don't know. This looks like it's working now. I don't know what happened. Let's see. Give me a go, no go in. There we go. There it is. We have music. We got sound. We're alive. It's alive. It's alive. Okay. All right. We're here. Let's try again. So you guys probably heard none. Well, maybe you did hear the intro. I don't know. Anyways, all right, let's try again. Good morning, everybody. It's been a while since we've been here. So figure we cover a little bit of Starship this morning, see what's happening on the SpaceX front. It's a little bit of excitement guaranteed today, as Elon says. So in case you're not familiar, I don't know how you wouldn't be, but everybody should be familiar at this point, but I'll give you a recap. So SpaceX developing their Starship, their new rocket that's going to take people to the moon, to Mars, all that kind of stuff. It's also going to be used for the Artemis programs, human landing system, and so it's never actually flown in space yet, right? So we've done a couple of Starship launches, just the upper stage, right? Just this part. Oh, don't break it! 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 Just this part has launched, right? This is the upper stage of the Starship. We saw this, right? We saw it go up, and then it did the whole belly flop, come back down, land it. We saw that. All right, that was a while ago, and but we've never seen. Let's see if I can put this over here without breaking it. Easy, easy. Oh, hold on. All right, we're good. We're good. We haven't actually seen the booster fly. And we've definitely never seen them fly together. So today, we will hopefully see that in about 35 minutes. So it's coming up pretty quickly here. So the idea for today's launch is this is going to be a full orbital flight test. They are going to launch the full integrated stack. It will, about 2 minutes and 53 seconds after launch, it will separate. The Starship will go on into orbit, the upper stage. The Superheavy booster, the bottom portion, is going to do a boostback burn, not all the way back to the launch site, but it's going to do a boostback burn, and then it's going to come do a vertical controlled landing. It's not actually going to land on anything, but it's going to do a controlled landing burn into the water. That'll be the end of the booster, and then the Starship going to continue on into orbit. Go all the way into orbital cut or main engine cut. It's not really main engine cutoff. What are we calling it? Starship engine cutoff, and then that will be out in space. That will then re-enter the atmosphere, come back in, and go all the way down to splashdown. So it'll be a relatively short mission. It's about an hour and a half total from launch all the way to Starship splashdown. Booster's going to splash down about 8 minutes after launch. That's kind of like a typical timeline that we would see for like your Falcon Heavy or Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy for that matter. Falcon 9 booster landings usually land about 8 minutes afterwards, so this booster will be about the same. And then, yeah, the full Starship come back and splash down about an hour and a half later. So that's the idea of what we got going on today. Let's see, I'm going to turn on our mission control audio so we can hear them chatting it up. And since the last time I've streamed, my OBS is all askew. I should probably do this more often, you would think, and then it wouldn't be all askew. But yeah, I'm missing, my chat is not in the normal spot that it normally is, so I have to get used to this new place that our chat is in, because I'm not seeing your chat come through, but we'll get better at that. All right, we'll pull up a couple things here. So we started looking at, here, we'll switch over to this view here real quick. So here's our fully integrated stack here. We talked about our timeline that's going on. So as far as the timeline, as we count down and get ready, we've got about 33 minutes. As far as we know, I do have to kind of keep an eye on SpaceX's Twitter feed, or Elon Musk. Somebody's going to update us, but we should be on track for about this timeline here. And I think it does look like they may be. see them live on Twitter. Why is their YouTube not live? Or is it? It is. I just need to refresh the page. So, there's our 33 Raptor engines on the bottom of the booster. Look at that. That's a lot of engines right there. This is going to be so exciting. Let me get here. Let's turn them up.
And just over 30.
We'll turn them up a little bit. Let me get our our countdown clocks matched up here.
There are 33 of them on the Superheavy, the booster, and we don't see it right now, but the cluster in the center are the ones that are actually going to gimbal and help steer the booster back down for its water landing in the Gulf.
Yeah, and they're a little bit different, Kate, than our Falcon engines. So on Falcon, we use a gas generator cycle. Here's a fantastic shot, actually, at the inner stage, so we can see the 6 engines that are on the ship side, 3 gimbaling in the middle, and then the vacuum engines. You can see 2 of them, and the other ones on the other side of the cluster in the middle here. So Raptor's a little bit different. It uses something called stage combustion, which means we basically pre-burn both the fuel side and the ox side, and then get those up to the right temperatures and pressures, and then mix them in the combustion chamber. It allows us to get higher thrust and higher efficiency on these engines than on Falcon 9. Now, Superheavy also has 4 grid fins to assist with orienting itself during the return back to Earth, as today is the fully integrated flight test. And the first one, we're focusing on safely testing just the fundamental systems and operations on the vehicle. So what that means is we won't be attempting to land on land today. Instead, Superheavy is going to be making that hard water landing in the Gulf.
Starship, or the spacecraft, is the second stage and makes up the top portion of the vehicle. It's designed for carrying passengers and cargo between destinations on Earth, Earth orbit, and planetary destinations. It stands 50 meters tall, a little taller than the Statue of Liberty. It's comprised of 6 Raptors. We saw those just moments ago. 3 of them are optimized for sea level, and the other 3 are vacuum engines, and they're optimized to operate in the vacuum of space. They provide a maximum of 258,000 tons of thrust in vacuum. The spacecraft is also outfitted with 4 flaps to help aerodynamically control the vehicle's attitude during atmospheric flight and enable precise landing at the intended location. You can see a view of those flaps there.
Now you can see the entire stack is vertical, and that's because Starship is designed for vertical takeoff and landing, as opposed to taking off and landing like an airplane. And that's really important because we don't have runways on the Moon and Mars. Fortunately, gravity at both of those destinations is not nearly as high as it is here on Earth. On Mars, it's about a third of what Earth's gravity is, and on the Moon, the gravity is just a sixth of what it is here. So Starship can take off in both of those cases without needing the Superheavy booster like we need here on Earth. Now, for today's test, Starship does not have its landing legs attached, and that's because we aren't going to be attempting to return to the launch site or land on land. It's going to be doing another hard water landing at the end of today's test.
We can't wait. Starship is...
So a couple of things. I just want to jump in here while they're chatting a little bit. We're looking at some heat shielding panels there, or the tiles. I did want to grab a couple of questions here. Now that I've got my chat all sorted out, I had to move some things around here. But so I saw Mike Awesome send over a super chat. Happy not birthday. Here we go. We're starting the birthday things again. Thanks, Mike Awesome. Appreciate that. I saw somebody asked why they're not doing the boostback burn all the way to the landing site. Mostly it's just because this is a test. We have no idea what's happening. We don't know if this is going to work. Success is not guaranteed here. Excitement is guaranteed. Success is not guaranteed. But if it doesn't work, we don't want to destroy all the facilities that they've built up for this, right? So they really want to make sure that they got a good probability of success before they bring this this vehicle full of fuel screaming back into Starbase, right? We don't want to have to start from square one again if it comes in and destroys everything. So yeah, they're gonna splash down in the water. Same with the Starship, and then once they get this kind of down, then they'll start bringing it back to the actual launch site here. So that's the plan. Do you think they could use an upgraded drone ship to have Superheavy land on in the future? I know they had talked about that for a while. Remember, we had those oil rigs, what was it, Phobos and Deimos, that they were trying to outfit. Turns out wasn't a good platform. They got rid of those oil rigs, so they're not doing it anymore. I think they were mostly going to use those for launch. I think the idea was to use those for launch, not necessarily landing, but they might have had plans to do it for both. But yeah, I don't know if we will see. I don't know if we'll see a landing platform. Maybe, probably have to be a pretty good size platform. But I think it brings up a lot more complications too, right? So we've got this like chopsticks design that we're trying to catch the booster on, right? You can kind of see the chopsticks sticking out from the launch tower there, and a lot of what that allows for is we don't have to have big, huge landing legs on the booster. And so if you have to land on a either on land or on a ship, now you got to add landing legs, and now we got another weight thing, another component, another moving part. So I think they're trying to keep that kind of off the ship. And that's why they're sticking with the chopstick landing method. I'll pull up the flight path of Starship here in just a second. I'll show that, but it's heading over the Gulf of Mexico, kind of south of the southern tip of Florida, and heading like a east-southeast kind of trajectory. I'll pull up that map here in just a minute, and we can take a look at it together. And let's see, did I miss anything else before we switch back to SpaceX and listen into them? Are they going to recover the booster? I don't know if they're going to actually try to recover it, or I don't believe they are going to recover it. I think once it lands, they are intending to open some valves in it and sink it, or scuttle it if for some reason it doesn't work out. But I think they're just going to sink it. I don't think they're going to recover it. I believe that's the plan. Yeah, okay. Landing ships don't fit within the rapid turnaround that SpaceX is aiming for. Yeah, that's true as well. From Pink Little Elephant, yes, SpaceX is going, that's another good point. SpaceX is going for like very rapid recovery with Starship, right? They want to land it, set it. That's another reason why they're landing it with the launch tower there. They want to catch it, set it back down, fill it back up, and launch it again. And they want to try to do that within I think the ultimate goal is to do that within hours. So yeah, the trying to land it on a ship and bring it back doesn't fit within that model. So that's another good point from Pink Little Elephant there. All right, let's listen back into them here.
To get to Mars and back with lots of people, multiple times, reusability is a must.
Now, in the near term and a bit closer to home here on Earth, Starship will be critical to other programs as well. Once it's operational, Starship will deliver the full-size and upgraded version of our Starlink satellites. And that's super exciting because our next-generation satellites represent a step forward in Starlink's capabilities and will provide more bandwidth and increased reliability to connect millions of people around the world with high-speed internet.
And of course, Starship will fly a number of human spaceflight missions in the lead up to our first missions to Mars. Entrepreneur and pilot Jared Isaacman will command the first human spaceflight on Starship as part of the Polaris program. Jared served as a commander for Inspiration 4, the first all-civilian mission to orbit. Inspiration 4 launched aboard our Dragon spacecraft and Falcon 9 in September 2021, raising over $240 million for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. The first human spaceflight on Starship will launch as part of the Polaris program, and you can learn more about that series of missions at polarisprogram.com.
Now, our first lunar mission around the moon aboard Starship will be led by Japanese entrepreneur Yusaku Maezawa, also known as MZ. MZ flew to space for the first time in December 2021, he purchased all of the seats aboard Starship's first lunar mission in order to give artists and creators from all over the world the opportunity to go. And the hope is that what they will create in space will further inspire all of us here back on planet Earth. Now, over 1 million people applied for this mission, and earlier this year, they announced the final 8 crew members were selected, and you can learn more about them and MZ's mission at dearmoon.earth.
It's crazy. That was a long time ago that they announced that they were doing that. It seems like it's getting so close now. Like, if you remember, that Dear Moon announcement was back in I think 2018 when they made the announcement. Just Yusaku Maezawa and Elon together said that he was going to pull some people together, and now here we are, 2023, right? So getting ready to launch Starship for the first time, and even going back further than that, like 2016 is when SpaceX and Elon had that initial reveal of Starship, the whole Starship concept. At the time, initially it was known as the Interplanetary Transport System, or ITS, and then we're calling it the Starship and the Superheavy. So it's kind of evolved over time. But that was back in 2016 is when they first publicly revealed that. So here we are, what's that, 7 years later, and ready to launch. So it seems like, when you think about it, that's a really long time, but I don't know, I feel like it was just yesterday we were watching Starship, we were watching Star Hopper hop for the first time. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but oh, there it is. There's Star Hopper right there. Watching on.
18 meters tall, the Starhopper had a single engine and was test flown to perform landing and low-level altitude maneuvers. Starship's initial flight test was a hop that reached about 20 meters in altitude. This was followed by a second hop, the one that we've got on our screen, that rose to 150 meters in altitude. We took a little jaunt away from the launch pad and ended up landing about 100 meters or so further away from it, and you can see that on your screen. Now, notably, this
couple other comments here. Jello, that how you say you're using it, says, how confident are you that this launch is going to be successful in the scale of 1 to 10? I want to know your thoughts about it. Well, so here's the thing. I'm going to give you like the politically correct answer, and then I'll give you the actual number you're looking for. But start with the politically correct answer. Success here is not an all or nothing, right? So we could have success and still have a major, massive, unscheduled disassembly. So we could still, you could get a successful launch, it could go up, you could get a successful separation and a successful ignition of Starship, and then during re-entry, Starship could, and then, but you still got a ton of successes in there. So it's not necessarily an all or nothing, and that's one thing I will preface this with. And I don't know, honestly, I'm kind of expecting something. I will be shocked if nothing goes wrong, like nothing obvious goes wrong. I will be shocked, but so I'm expecting something to go wrong. Whether it does make it all the way to the end, I'm gonna give, I don't know, everybody keeps saying like 50-50. I'm an optimist. I would give it, in your thing, you said on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna bump it just above a 50-50 chance, and I'm gonna give it a 6. How's that? So that's what I'm gonna go with, is I'll give you your there's nice beautiful view of a not so graceful landing there. Yeah, so that's, I don't know, that's what I'm gonna go with. I'm a little bit optimistic, but I think it's a 50-50 chance. We got a lot of people optimistic. Like Kaspira says 90% chance it's gonna be good. That is very optimistic. I mean, I would love that, but I don't know. Mike Awesome said, do you think Starship will increase the crew size significantly in the future? How large do you think the team will be? Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that's supposed to be one of the benefits of Starship, is you should be able to have a pretty large crew. I don't know, now originally when they were first designing this, they were saying you could fit a crew of 100 people on there. Now that they've kind of developed the system, they've put in all the plumbing and the fuel tanks and all the stuff that they need. I'd be interested to know, how their interior designs may have changed from those plans. I'm certain that they could fit, they gotta have a better crew, or be able to fit a bigger crew than 12. But then you also have to consider, like, do you need more crew or do you just want more cargo? So I'm certain they could fit more, but question is, do they want to fit more? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the interior designs start to look like from this thing, especially now that they've kind of figured some things out, figured out where to route plumbing and electrical and cables and all that kind of stuff. So let's see what else we have for questions. Is it happening in an hour and a half? No, we're 17 minutes away here. We're getting close. Fritz 46, clearing the pad without destroying it would be a huge success. Definitely. I think that would be. I'll give that a +1 if we can just clear the pad without destroying it. Making it through max Q would be a big success. Definitely, that would also be a big success there. Let's see. Anthony Goodley. Disassembly sounds like a polite way of saying a pretty bad outcome. Yeah, I think that's what we were going for there. Lim, one of our longtime channel members. We waited almost 2 years for this. Now we're like 20 minutes away from it. Feels awesome. I know, this is exciting. 16 minutes now. 16 minutes. Jello, to be honest, if this thing just leaves the launch pad without any hiccups, it already a big milestone. Yeah, I think that is huge. I mean, we've never seen the booster launch, right? I mean, this thing could ignite and get 3 inches off the pad and just have a spectacular show. Not in a good way. So, yeah, that's one possible outcome. On the other hand, if it launches and gets past the tower, like, that's gonna be huge. That's gonna be huge. Let's see. You know, they're not going to try to catch it. It's going to be a splashdown. Both the booster and the Starship are going to splash down in the water. The booster will do a landing burn. It's going to do a boostback burn and a landing burn. The landing burn, there's nothing for it to land on. It's more of just like, can we control it? Is it doing what, you know, is the vehicle responding the way we think it's supposed to respond? You know, could we possibly control this to a landing? So they are going to do a landing burn. It's just going to land in the water. And once it lands in the water, my understanding is the plan is to open some valves, flood the vehicle, and sink it. So Anthony says, let's hope it's not the 4th of July in April. Yes, that is what we are definitely hoping, that it is not going to be a that kind of show.
Period of time.
It was a very different scene as 3 years
we got
ago.
double audio.
Not
What's
that
happening
photo there on your screen. Fast forward to today, and the team is building out an entire production line.
Yeah, last year they built 4 Starship Superheavy boosters, 5 Starships, our 200 Raptor 2 engine, and this year they're targeting 5 boosters, 8 Starships in production for 2023. And really, you do need a production system to rapidly iterate, like we were talking about earlier, on the design of the vehicle as we learn more about it from these large tests.
Yeah, absolutely. Pulling on my industrial engineering background, system fill is something that is critical to that goal. Being able to produce and launch multiple Starships means that we have to have a system full of those production vehicles, and we iterate on each one. So even the next Starship that will fly in whatever the next test is will be different than the one that you see there on your screen now.
Now, the employees who have been at SpaceX a while say that Starbase does remind them of the early Falcon 1 days, except moving a whole lot faster.
The team at Starbase is expanding as fast as the facilities are, and if you've ever wondered what life at Starbase is like, here's a quick peek.
Yeah, all right, so they got some music here, so I'm going to turn it down. Yeah, so we'll keep the video up here. We're down to 13 minutes. 13 minutes, the clock is still running, which is great news. We'll see how this pans out here. I mean, I was expecting... I was already expecting some sort of delay, but so far we're in great shape, which is fantastic. Yeah, Yeah, we'll definitely keep the noise, we'll keep the volume up once we get to launch so we can hear that for sure. A couple people saying there's an issue. I haven't seen that yet. Can you give me a source on that? Where are you seeing that? I don't have that anywhere yet. But yeah, a couple things to keep in mind, right? So when they talked about the Falcon 1, right? The early stages when Falcon 9 was being developed. One of the big problem areas that they had with Falcon 1 was during the separation event, right? So we've already seen kind of Starship come up and come back down. We've seen static fires for both Starship and the Superheavy booster. One thing that you really haven't seen is that separation event with those two vehicles, like in flight. Like all of a sudden, when you're going crazy fast through the atmosphere and you're going to separate these two vehicles and make sure they don't crash into each other, that's a big deal. So that was one thing that they struggled with Falcon 1. Hopefully we don't see that today. That'll be a big milestone. Max Q is always a big milestone. Just clearing the tower today is going to be a big milestone. So if we can get those three things, like those three things are kind of the major things. Like clear the launch tower, that would be milestone number 1. Separation successfully and reignition of the Starship be milestone number 2. And Max Q, I forgot Max Q. Max Q would be milestone number 2, and then separation and Starship ignition would be kind of milestone number 3. And once you get past those 3, then I would feel really good. All right, then you got to bring it back. All right, then there's a whole new set of problems bringing it back. Like, can we re-enter and do all that kind of stuff? So, let's see. I got a bunch of people. Reported on the SpaceX stream. I didn't hear it. I must have had the volume down. So a couple people reporting that that they're having some sort of pressure issue. I did not hear that.
So if you're interested in helping expand,
we'll listen in, see if they mention it. The clock is still running, which is great. But if we get a hold, we got they'll be around.
Now, with that, let's check back in with Zach down at Starbase one last time before launch. Howdy, Zach.
Howdy, Zach.
Hello, Kate and Shiva again. You can really feel the energy here at South Padre Island as more of the SpaceX team have gathered. We're standing just over 5 miles away from the launch mount, and so from here we've got a very nice view. I would basically say these are some of the best front row seats you could get, and might I add, beachside as well. Now, the Starship team has worked incredibly hard to get ready for this test, and we're all clearly excited for T0. And as we get into the final moments, one issue that could hold the countdown or cancel the test altogether is if a boat enters the safety perimeter. Now, over my shoulder is the Gulf of Mexico, which is normally very open to all of the boaters and fishers. However, today, SpaceX is closely coordinating with the United States Coast Guard to establish a safe zone and ensure public safety. And up to T0, SpaceX is in regular communication with the Coast Guard to ensure there are no boats in the area leading up to the launch. Now, fingers crossed that does not happen.
Yeah, stay out of there,
now,
please.
I'll throw it back to the folks at Hawthorne as we get closer and closer to that T-0.
Where do we stand? Do we have a pressure issue? Let's see. Maybe, possibly.
We're just inside T-minus 9 minutes and counting. We're listening on one of the background loops right now. Flight director is talking about the issue we've had on first stage, working the pressurization system. Decision right now is that we are going to stop the launch for today. We're going to transition the launch attempt to a wet dress rehearsal. So that means we're going to continue with the countdown sequence of events. We'll continue loading propellant, finishing up here shortly on the second stage. We'll also continue loading propellant onto the first stage, wrapping up at T-minus 3 minutes. We're also going to go through pressurization steps, other steps of the countdown. This will be a full validation for the team, but currently the plan right now is we're waiting for final word, is that I think at T-minus 10 seconds, we will finally stop the clock and then recycle the countdown for today. Now we're inside T-minus 8 minutes and counting. We're continuing to load propellant on both the first and second stage. You can see the Starship second stage with the heat shield tiles there. Carriage arms are open. You can see the condensation around the first stage tank as we load liquid methane, liquid oxygen into the large super heavy first stage. And that propellant loading is continuing until T-minus 3 minutes. As a reminder, and there's our great view looking up at the Raptor engines, the 33 engines. There's an outer ring of 20 engines, and then there's an inner set of 13. Those are the engines that can gimbal and adjust the course of the Starship vehicle on the way up, and of course the first stage as it comes back down towards the water landing in the Gulf of Mexico. Now when both stages are loaded, you can see the condensation frost on the side of the first stage. We'll have just over 10 million pounds of liquid propellant on board. Inside T-minus 7 minutes, we're continuing to count. Team is preparing for the hold and scrub at T-minus 10 seconds.
Well,
the
that's
good
a
news
bummer.
is everything's been going good. We're just working that one issue. So we are continuing to count. Team will get this as an excellent opportunity to run the end-to-end of the system. Now in a launch, in the next few minutes, the guidance system would be performing its final alignment. We will be doing that this morning. The automated flight termination system would be armed. We won't need to arm it today as we won't be flying. And we'll do final thrust vector control checkouts, what we call wiggles of the Raptor engines on the first and second stages. Now, normally in a countdown, if we needed to hold, there's a view of the second stage Raptor engines just above the first stage.
I like that view. That's cool, too.
Now, as I mentioned, in a regular countdown, if we needed to hold, that would come at T-minus 40 seconds. That's the point in the countdown where we can pause to wait for final checkouts or pressurization to complete. Now, earlier this morning, we thought we might have to hold at 40 seconds. Everything's looking good, except for the one pressurization issue that the team is going to have to troubleshoot after this morning. So we won't stop at 40 seconds right now. We'll continue all the way down to 10 seconds, and then we'll go into a recycle.
Well, that's a bummer. So it looks like we're scrubbed for today. They are going to count down, continue to count down, but
we're going to be jumping into a wet dress rehearsal here.
Bummer.
And I actually
now
think
we're coming up T-minus 5 minutes. Overall, though, Kate, Shiva, it's been a good day. It's a little sad listening to the flight director say that we're going to have to stop at 10 seconds. But I guess that's for everybody. It gives us a real run-through of the launch vehicle.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Of course, we wanted to see fire today and lift off, but that's okay. The point of the countdown is to allow the teams to progress to that T0 time in a coordinated fashion and really to unveil any issues prior to the ignition sequence. So the countdown did its job today. It allowed us to identify that press issue, and like John mentioned, the teams are going to work through it, and we are going to basically call it off at T-minus 10 seconds. But the integrated launch teams and us, we are going to treat this as if it were still a launch day. We're going to do this, what we now call a wet dress rehearsal.
Yeah, and we've mentioned the term a couple of times here. We call it a wet dress rehearsal because we are wetting the propellant tanks. We are loading propellant into the vehicle. We've talked about the frost line a little bit here. That exercises the stage 0 system, the ground system, all of our infrastructure that loads propellants onto the pad. That exercises our procedures for the mission control teams. We're monitoring telemetry on the mission control consoles, looking at the pressures and the rates and the temperatures. And some of those things look a little bit different when you're getting up to the pre-flight pressurization levels and full propellant load. So we're learning things today about the integrated tests that are going to set us up for success in a future attempt later on, hopefully in the next 48 hours or so. And Kate, like it's also worth mentioning here, we're still going to take the count through to a pretty around the T-minus 10 second mark. So we're really going to exercise everything that we would up until that point in the vehicle states and ground procedures.
Yeah, it's like we said before, any data that we can collect today is super helpful. And that's exactly what we're doing. We are continuing to collect this data and allow the teams to have be better informed for the next attempt. Unfortunately, due to the needing to recycle the propellant, we are looking at a minimum of 48 hours until we are able to attempt this flight test again. So we're not quite sure what that timing will be at the moment, but we're looking at a minimum of 48 minutes. Or excuse me, of 48 hours at this point.
48
in time.
minutes would be great.
Shiva, exactly as you said, things look a little bit different on launch day, and we allowed the countdown to do its job, to basically get to this point, to allow the teams to work through the issues, and we're going to continue, like we said before, we're going to continue all this down all the way to T-minus 10 seconds, and that will really allow the teams to pretend like this is launch day and continue and gather that data.
Yeah, so I see a bunch of people confused in the comments. The launch is scrubbed for today. We're still counting. They're going to count it down to about 10 seconds just to kind of simulate like this is launch day and finish the rest of the count. But there is a pressurization issue on the first stage, the booster. So they are not going to launch today. The flight is scrubbed. We will not have a launch. And that's a bit of a bummer. And it sounds like Kate says that we're talking 48 hours for a recycle. So they're not even going to try again tomorrow. It looks like the earliest they would try would be Wednesday. So we'll try it again. Oh, we got some engine wiggle. Look at this. That's kind of cool looking.
Issue we are going to utilize today as a wet dress.
So yeah, now we're kind of considering this a wet dress rehearsal, and then once we get down to T-minus 10 seconds, they're gonna scrub it. So no launch today. No launch. 48-hour recycle. They'll try again. Hopefully they try again Wednesday. That'd be great. But I don't know what the weather's gonna be like for the rest of the week.
This and we fly. One of the things you'll hear in the last minute, you won't be hearing us because we'll be listening to the countdown. But at T-minus 30 seconds, that's when the flight director would give the final go for launch. Love to have heard that this morning, but something to look forward to.
Nope.
The other thing to look at is at T-minus 6 seconds, we begin lighting the engines. Up on your monitor, you can see there, T-minus 40 seconds. We did hit the 40-second hold point, and they are holding for a moment. In the end, they will release that hold. We'll go the last 30 seconds. But yes, when we do get to day of launch, the last thing to look at is in the last 6 seconds, light the Raptor engines in succession. So unlike Falcon 9, we're going to have to do that a little longer. We're hearing right now the clock is going to hold here at T-minus 40 seconds. The Super Heavy and Starship are looking good. So with that, Kate, it's been a fast-paced morning. We got through it fairly quickly. But at this point, we're going to have to call it a morning.
Yeah, that's right. So for those of you that have recently just joined us, we unfortunately had a hold on the countdown today, and that is going to scrub our launch attempt. But we are expecting a minimum of 48 hours in order to recycle. So be sure to keep an eye on our social channels, and we'll share information as soon as it becomes available. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Well, there we go. That's it. No launch today. Bummer. Well, we knew this was a possibility. Of course, scrubs are better than booms, they always say, right? I don't know who they are, but that's what they say. Scrubs, better than booms. We definitely want to make sure that the vehicle is going to be safe. We want to have a successful launch. We don't want to have any sort of issues or anything like that. So we're off for today, scrubbed. Minimum of 48-hour recycle. But this is a good test run. Good test run for them. Good test run for me to make sure I remember how to do this whole live streaming bit, since we haven't done this in a really long time. But it was fun to get check in with y'all and see what was happening. Wait. Dimka says, "Is this wasted an hour of my life?" It's not that much of a waste, right? It's excitement. We all love this. I mean, of course we want to see it launch, but it was exciting nonetheless. Boom is better than scrubs. No. We don't want booms. We want to have a successful launch, because a successful launch means that the program can progress, right? If we have a successful launch, we don't have to redo this stage. We can move on to the next thing. So we'll get that all. Hopefully they'll get that sorted out, and maybe we'll give it another try. Maybe Wednesday. Wednesday would be good. And we'll see what we can do. Wednesday or Thursday. A lot of people think that maybe we'll launch on Thursday because it's one of Elon's favorite numbers. So maybe Thursday. But it'll be at least Wednesday. It says we need a minimum of 48 hours to recycle, and then we'll see. Wild West Dan. Thursday's better for his schedule. Let's go for that. I'll send them a memo. We'll see if we could do Thursday. Nightmare. Yes, they canceled. They scrubbed for today. We got no launch. We have some sort of pressurization issue in the first stage Superheavy booster, and they can't launch because of that. So they need to sort that out. Obviously, it wasn't a crazy major issue that they needed to abort immediately, because they did continue the count all the way to 40 seconds, and then they scrubbed it. Foxy Paws, I think they're overestimating giving extra time to fix the overpressure issue. Yeah, Kate said something about due to the propellant, they needed 48 hours to recycle. I'm not sure what that's all about. It could be they could be giving themselves some buffer time, for a couple of reasons. One, this is a relatively new vehicle, and if they fully pressurize it and fully fuel it, they may want to inspect it and really make sure that nothing cracked or creaked or nothing broke during the fueling process. They may want to inspect it a little extra, being that it's so new. There might be some other issue that I'm not thinking of. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but yeah. The Starship prototypes have had less than 24-hour turnarounds at some point. Yeah, they did do that for Starship. I don't know. It could be different, because we've got Superheavy now, much bigger vehicle, a lot more fuel. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe they just don't even have enough fuel on site for it. They need 48 hours notice just to get more fuel on site. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but can we get Snoop in there for the countdown if it goes on Thursday? Yeah. Guest appearance by Snoop D-O-double-G on if he'll do the final terminal count on Thursday if we launch on Thursday. I don't know if that'll be a thing, but it could be interesting. Yeah, so nothing today. We are scrubbed today, but yeah, good test run. We will come back. I will come back on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever we decide to. They decide to try it again, and we'll see if we can get this thing off the ground. It'll be awesome. So that's gonna do it. I guess I'm gonna wrap up. Consider jumping on the Discord, our Discord, and hanging out with all of our friends. If you're not a Discord member already, our Discord links are not working in the chat. All right, commands aren't working. Probably because we haven't been live in so long. It has been a long time. I don't know when the last time we went live was. Let's see if I can fix the commands so I can get you all a Discord invite link. Let's see, does it work now? Discord. Nightbot, are you there? Nightbot's sleeping. We don't know where Nightbot went. Well, I don't know. You can go to overlookhorizon.com/Discord. That'll get you into our Discord. I was trying to give you a link directly in the YouTube chat, but it's not working. Oh, there you go. Wild West Dan. Thank you for thanks for sending over a Discord invite link. So there you go. Wild West Dan gave you all a Discord invite link. If you want to join our Discord, feel free to jump in there and chat it up with other space fanatics. Since we all love it, that's what we're here for, right? All right. Well, I'll post another event on the YouTube channel here, and we'll go live maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the plan is. But nothing today. Scrubbed for today. We'll come back another day and we'll try to do it again. How's that? All right, everybody. That's gonna do it for me. My name's Tori. This is Overlook Horizon, and we'll see you Wednesday or Thursday, I guess. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.